What is Sigiriya famous for? Sigiriya, Lion Rock, is famous for its palace ruins on top of a massive 200-meter-high rock surrounded by the remains of an extensive network of gardens, reservoirs and other structures. The rock itself is a lava plug left over from an ancient long-extinct volcano. Is Sigiriya a wonder of the world? One of the 8 World Heritage Sites of Sri Lanka, Sigiriya is renowned for its 5th-century pre-Christian frescoes. It has also been declared by UNESCO as the 8th wonder of the world. How long does it take to walk up Sigiriya? The climb to the top, about 1,200 steps, takes about 1 and 1.5 hours, depending on your fitness, age, the crowds and how fast you'd like to go of course. Who found Sigiriya? It wasn't until 1831 that the abandoned Sigiriya was discovered by British Army Major Jonathan Forbes. He came across the site whilst horseback riding through Sri Lanka. Is Sigiriya Ravana's palace? Apart from the history books, many noted historians believe Sigiriya to have a connect with Ramayana's Ravana. It is believed that the plateau top was the site of Ravana's majestic palace, made of solid gold and crafted by Kubera, the god of wealth, around 50 centuries ago. Is Sigiriya hard climbing? Climbing Sigiriya Rock. Climbing Sigiriya is strenuous but not hard. There are about 1,200 steps. That's roughly equivalent to climbing 60 flights of stairs in a 60-story building. Can I wear shorts to Sigiriya? Shorts are fine for the rock, but if you're combining the day with any temple visits, make sure your shorts come below your knees and no bare shoulders. How tall is Sigiriya? The rock, which is so steep that its top overhangs the sides, rises to an elevation of 1,144 feet, 349 meters, above sea level and is some 600 feet, 180 meters, above the surrounding plain. How old is Sigiriya? Archaeological excavations have proven that Sigiriya and its surrounding territories were inhabited for more than 4,000 years. Since the 3th century BC, Sigiriya was used as a monastery, and after 8 centuries it was turned into a royal palace. How did they get water to the top of Sigiriya? Water was pumped up from the lake behind the rock. Here it went through conditioning system and then ran down with the pipes to the gardens at the bottom of the palace, where the system was hidden under the ground. Water was minted by the pressure in the fountains that still work today during huge rainfall. Why Sigiriya is called Lion Rock? The igneous rock earned its name from the enormous lion which greeted visitors halfway up the rock on a small plateau. A gateway to the Sigiriya, a lion carved from rock served to both welcome visitors and warn enemies. What is the best time to climb Sigiriya? Sigiriya should be climbed early morning. Most days it opens at 7 a.m. Some days there is early opening at 6 a.m., so ask your guide or hotel. As early as 9 or 9:30 it fills up with locals and is like a conga line. How many steps are there in Sigiriya? There are some 1,200 steps to the top of the rock, where you will be rewarded with panoramic views and most certainly, a sense of accomplishment for completing the climb. How far is Sigiriya from Dambulla? The distance between Dambulla and Sigiriya is 14 kilometers. The road distance is 16.9 kilometers. How do you get to Sigiriya Rock? Sigiriya can be reached from Kandy, Sri Lanka, by bus. First, go to the terminal and take a bus to the town of Dambulla. There are very nice cave temples along this route, but visitors to Sigiriya will want to wait for the stopover at the Dambulla bus terminal. Which province is Sigiriya? Central Province. What is inside Sigiriya? The Sigiriya site contains the ruins of an upper palace located on the flat top of the rock, a mid-level terrace that includes the lion gate and the mirror wall with its frescoes. The lower palaces clings to the slopes below the rocks. How far is Sigiriya from Colombo? The distance between Colombo and Sigiriya is 150 kilometers. The road distance is 164.3 kilometers. How do I get to Sigiriya by train? The best way to reach Sigiriya from Colombo is by train and will cost you between 800 Sri Lanka rupees minus 1,200. It is an hour and 33 minutes from Colombo. However, there are no direct trains to Sigiriya. The best option is to board the train from Colombo Fort to Habrana, which is 15 kilometers away. How do you explain Sigiriya? Sigiriya 169 km, 105 miles, from Colombo. Sigiriya, also known as the Lion's Rock, is a rock fortress and a palace located in the Madal district of Sri Lanka. This ruin is surrounded by gardens, ponds and other structures. Sigiriya was built by King Kasapa and it is included as a World Heritage Site. Where do I go after Sigiriya? From Sigiriya, you can go to Palanawara or down to Kandy via Dambulla. It is entirely possible to combine Sigiriya, arriving on the site very early, and Dambulla in the same day, and arrive in Kandy in the evening. What else can you do in Sigiriya? Adventurous things to do in Sigiriya, Sri Lanka's cultural. Eat local. Visit the Golden Temple. Hot air balloon ride. Nature trail in Habarana. Stay in a destination hotel. Take a boat trip. Do an elephant safari. Sigiriya or Sinhagiri is an ancient rock fortress located in the northern Madal district near the town of Dambulla in the central province, Sri Lanka. The name refers to a site of historical and archaeological significance that is dominated by a massive column of rock nearly 200 meters 660 feet high. According to the ancient Sri Lankan chronicle the Kilavamsa, this site was selected by King Kashyapa, 477–495, for his new capital. He built his palace on the top of this rock and decorated its sides with colorful frescoes. On a small plateau about halfway up the side of this rock he built a gateway in the form of an enormous lion. The name of this place is derived from this structure, Sinhagiri, the Lion Rock. The capital and the royal palace was abandoned after the king's death. It was used as a Buddhist monastery until the 14th century. Sigiriya today is a UNESCO-listed World Heritage Site. It is one of the best preserved examples of ancient urban planning. Sigiriya Historical Past. Archaeological excavations have proven that Sigiriya and its surrounding territories were inhabited for more than 4,000 years. Since the 3th century BC, Sigiriya was used as a monastery, and after 8 centuries it was turned into a royal palace. The construction and early history of the palace and fortress of Sigiriya is connected with several tragic events in the relationship of two royal brothers, Kashyapa and Moggallana. King Kashyapa, 477–495 AD, illegally took the throne. The legal heir of the throne, Moggallana, was forced to escape to India. Fearing an attack by his brother, Kashyapa decided to move the capital from Anuradhapura to the central parts of Sri Lanka. He constructed a royal palace on a high rock to make sure it will not be invaded by the right heir of the throne, Moggallana. The palace, Sigiriya, was constructed using the most advanced technologies of the time and was richly decorated with colorful frescoes. After Kashyapa was killed in the battle with his brother's army, the capital was moved back to Anuradhapura. Moggallana destroyed the palace of his brother and Sigiriya became a Buddhist monastery again. Approximately 1,000 years later, in the 14th century it was abandoned also by monks. In 1831 Europeans accidentally discovered Sigiriya. Jonathan Forbes, a major of the British Army, discovered it on his way from Polonnaruwa, a city in central Sri Lanka. The site immediately attracted the attention of historians and archaeologists, but only in the 1980s major excavations took place here. Archaeological remains and features. In 1831 Major Jonathan Forbes of the 78th Highlanders of the British Army, while returning on horseback from a trip to Polonnaruwa, encountered the bush-covered summit of Sigiriya. Sigiriya came to the attention of antiquarians and, later, archaeologists. Archaeological work at Sigiriya began on a small scale in the 1890s. H.C.P. Bell was the first archaeologist to conduct extensive research on Sigiriya. The Cultural Triangle Project, launched by the government of Sri Lanka, focused its attention on Sigiriya in 1982. Archaeological work began on the entire city for the first time under this project. There was a sculpted lion's head above the legs and paws flanking the entrance, but the head collapsed years ago. Sigiriya consists of an ancient citadel built by King Kashyapa during the 5th century. The Sigiriya site contains the ruins of an upper palace located on the flat top of the rock, a mid-level terrace that includes the lion gate and the mirror wall with its frescoes. The lower palaces clings to the slopes below the rocks. The moats, walls and gardens of the palace extended for a few hundred meters from the base of the rock. The site was both a palace and a fortress. The upper palace on the top of the rock includes cisterns cut into the rock. Site plan. Sigiriya is considered to be one of the most important urban planning sites of the first millennium, and the site plan is considered very elaborate and imaginative. The plan combined concepts of symmetry and asymmetry to intentionally interlock the man-made geometrical and natural forms of the surroundings. On the west side of the rock lies a park for the royals, laid out on a symmetrical plan. The park contains water-retaining structures, including sophisticated surface, subsurface hydraulic systems, some of which are working today. The south contains a man-made reservoir. These were extensively used from the previous capital of the dry zone of Sri Lanka. 5 gates were placed at entrances. The more elaborate western gate is thought to have been reserved for the royals. Frescoes. John Still in 1907 wrote, "The whole face of the hill appears to have been a gigantic picture gallery, the largest picture in the world perhaps. The paintings would have covered most of the western face of the rock, an area 140 meters long and 40 meters high. There are references in the graffiti to 500 ladies in these paintings. However, most have been lost forever. More frescoes, different from those on the rock face, can be seen elsewhere, for example on the ceiling of the location called the Cobra Hood Cave. Although the frescoes are classified as in the Anuradhapura period, the painting style is considered unique, the line and style of application of the paintings differing from Anuradhapura paintings. The lines are painted in a form which enhances the sense of volume of the figures. The paint has been applied in sweeping strokes, using more pressure on one side, giving the effect of a deeper color tone towards the edge. Other paintings of the Anuradhapura period contain similar approaches to painting, but do not have the sketchy lines of the Sigiriya style, having a distinct artist's boundary line. The true identity of the ladies in these paintings still have not been confirmed. There are various ideas about their identity. Some believe that they are the ladies of the kings while others think that they are women taking part in religious observances. These pictures have a close resemblance to paintings seen in the Ajanta caves in India. Subjects of the Sigiriya frescoes paintings. These damsels have high foreheads shaping their faces with enticing doe eyes, a rose-colored blush on their cheeks and lips as lotus buds look down from the gallery where they reside. These lovely maidens wear blouses of the gossamer veil, the texture of which is silken cobwebs woven in the wind. 7 layers of this diaphanous material is like evening dew on the grass and similar to running water. Mirror wall. Originally this wall was so highly polished that the king could see himself whilst he walked alongside it. Made of brick masonry and covered in highly polished white plaster, the wall is now partially covered with verses scribbled by visitors, some of them dating from as early as the 8th century. People of all types wrote on the wall, on varying subjects such as love, irony, and experiences of all sorts. Further writing on the mirror wall now has been banned for the protection of the old writings. The Archaeological Commissioner of Ceylon, Sanarath Puranabhitana, deciphered 685 verses written in the 8th, 9th and 10th centuries CE on the mirror wall. One such poem from these long past centuries, roughly translated from Sinhala, is I am Boodle, the writer's name. Came with hundreds of people to see Sigiriya. Since all the others wrote poems, I did not. Gardens. The gardens of the Sigiriya city are one of the most important aspects of the site, as it is among the oldest landscaped gardens in the world. The gardens are divided into 3 distinct but linked forms: water gardens, cave and boulder gardens, and terraced gardens. Water gardens. The water gardens can be seen in the central section of the western precinct. 3 principal gardens are found here. The first garden consists of a plot surrounded by water. It is connected to the main precinct using 4 causeways, with gateways placed at the head of each causeway. This garden is built according to an ancient garden form known as Char Bagh, and is one of the oldest surviving models of this form. The second contains 2 long, deep pools set on either side of the path. 2 shallow, serpentine streams lead to these pools. Fountains made of circular limestone plates are placed here. Underground water conduits supply water to these fountains which are still functional, especially during the rainy season. 2 large islands are located on either side of the second water garden. Summer palaces are built on the flattened surfaces of these islands. 2 more islands are located farther to the north and the south. These islands are built in a manner similar to the island in the first water garden. The third garden is situated on a higher level than the other 2. It contains a large, octagonal pool with a raised podium on its northeast corner. The large brick and stone wall of the citadel is on the eastern edge of this garden. The water gardens are built symmetrically on an east-west axis. They are connected with the outer moat on the west and the large artificial lake to the south of the Sigiriya rock. All the pools are also interlinked using an underground conduit network fed by the lake, and connected to the moats. A miniature water garden is located to the west of the first water garden, consisting of several small pools and watercourses. This recently discovered smaller garden appears to have been built after the Kashyapan period, possibly between the 10th and 13th centuries. Boulder gardens. The boulder gardens consist of several large boulders linked by winding pathways. The gardens extend from the northern slopes to the southern slopes of the hills at the foot of Sigiriya rock. Most of these boulders had a building or pavilion upon them. There are cuttings that were used as footings for brick walls and beams. They were used to be pushed off from the top to attack enemies when they approached. Terraced gardens. The terraced gardens are formed from the natural hill at the base of the Sigiriya rock. A series of terraces rises from the pathways of the boulder garden to the staircases on the rock. These have been created by the construction of brick walls, and are located in a roughly concentric plan around the rock. The path through the terraced gardens is formed by a limestone staircase. From this staircase, there is a covered path on the side of the rock, leading to the uppermost terrace where the lion staircase is situated. What is Sigiriya famous for? Sigiriya, Lion Rock, is famous for its palace ruins on top of a massive 200-meter-high rock surrounded by the remains of an extensive network of gardens, reservoirs and other structures. The rock itself is a lava plug left over from an ancient long-extinct volcano. Is Sigiriya a wonder of the world? One of the 8 World Heritage Sites of Sri Lanka, Sigiriya is renowned for its 5th-century pre-Christian frescoes. It has also been declared by UNESCO as the 8th